In this video, I'm going to walk you guys through the process on how I created this painting. I'm going to take you guys through the drawing step, through the mounting it to board, and then also the final step of painting. So in the video, there's a lot of sections where I don't talk too much and I just kind of draw or paint because I'm working from my reference. Those sections I've taken out the audio and sped things up so you guys aren't sitting at your computer for days watching this video. If there's anything that's important, I try to keep that in there and make note of that to tell you guys how to do different things. Specifically, one section that I do that is when I mount the paper, because this was originally drawn on paper and then mounted to masonite. So that section I go through step by step on how to go about mounting your paper to your masonite so you can paint on top of it. So yeah, enjoy the video and thanks. Yeah, just so you guys know what's going on here is I've started to work from my reference for the initial drawing that's going to eventually be the painting. So at this stage, I usually start with big blocky shapes. I work from like a basic frame, basic kind of template, and then after that, I work and refine it from there, and just try and break down everything in the face into shapes. It makes it a lot easier, at least for me. So that's how I usually approach it. And then at this stage, you're going to see I'm starting to fill in the darkest values with, I like to use a graphite stick because it makes a cool texture. And then I'm taking my lead holder and just kind of using that to darken up those areas and really make sure that those stand out after I seal the painting, because sometimes you lose some of your drawing when you seal it and it becomes a little bit blurry or faded. So it's important to make sure that those are dark enough that they will stay that at least visible when you seal it. So just about done with that initial drawing step, and then after this I go into using the graphite powder, which I've never really done before. Hey guys, so originally I was planning on being done with the drawing at this point, but I kind of got carried away and messed around with experimenting, and I used a little bit of graphite powder, which is super messy, so be very careful if you ever use it. I've got a little bit here, and you can see, maybe you can see some that escaped that, but basically what I did was I wanted to make the drawing look a little smoky, and so I just went over most of the areas that I've done with pencil, and now what I'm actually doing is taking a kneaded rubber eraser and pulling out some of these highlight shapes that I'm going to use in the painting. The really nice thing with the kneaded rubber eraser is you can actually use it to almost draw in your highlights, or you can kind of splotch out big shapes, kind of like what I'm doing right now. And like I said, this is going to be a painting, so what I'm going to do after I get done doing these highlights, I'm going to seal this drawing so I can paint over it and it won't distort anything I've already done. The other really nice thing with the kneaded rubber eraser is for little tiny details I can like roll it up kind of like that and then get some nice line work almost with it. Okay, so now I'm going to call this ready to be sealed, and then that's the next step before I go into painting. So I'm going to seal the drawing, and there's no going back now to graphite. So, okay, maybe one more roll. There we go. Now no more going back. I'm about to get my surface ready to paint on for the Mark Twain painting. So, finished up the drawing earlier. I sprayed it twice with workable fixative, so that should seal the drawing pretty well, so I can transfer or adhere the paper to the board without smearing any of the pencil work and losing any of that. So I'm gonna set this aside for a minute because I'm gonna do some. So first, before you get your surface ready, you have to sand it. So I've got masonite here. This is the thicker masonite, so it's pretty strong. Really doesn't matter which one you go for. Obviously, if you have a bigger painting, it works best if you have the thicker masonite because it's less likely to bend. But for something this small, I could use this or the thinner masonite. So when you start this, you're going to want to take some sandpaper and just lightly sand the surface because you want it to be able to adhere to it. And so like the sandpaper helps. So I apologize for the wobbly nature of this video right now, but my art table is not the most sturdy thing in the world. In fact, I had to move the GoPro because it was shaking too much whenever I touched the table. So I had to rig something up with cardboard just to hold the GoPro up, but now it works much better. Make sure you get all of it sanded pretty decently because you don't want the paper to come back up later on after you've finished your painting. Okay. So I'm going to take this and wipe the dust off into the trash can. Okay, so I've done that, and then I'm going to get my paper towel just a little bit wet to get any of the really stubborn sawdust off. Also make sure if you have anything that was pre-existing on this, like I don't know if you noticed, I have a couple marks here and here from gesso from a previous piece that I was working on. Make sure that you sand those down so that they're smooth, otherwise you'll have like a lump underneath your painting, and that won't be too much fun when you actually start using paint on it because it'll show up later and it'll be much more noticeable later. So I've got that ready. So now I'm going to take the water that I set aside, and I'm going to take some acrylic matte medium, and so I'm going to pour a little bit of that in with the water. That looks pretty good. I'm just going to kind of mix that up a bit. And it should still be pretty watery when you're doing this. So I'm going to preemptively get some paper towel because this is usually kind of messy. Okay, so I've got that. Then I'm going to go ahead and use my sanding block to prop this up so it's a little bit more level, because I don't want the water running everywhere, and since my drawing table is angled, it would just run right off to the ground onto the carpet. So I'm going to prop that up so it doesn't do that. So then you're going to take your acrylic matte medium and water mix, and you're going to apply that to your surface, and you have to work quickly here because you don't want this to dry too much before you put your paper on top and finish it off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And be generous in this stage. Just put a lot down. So I still need something else under here because it's still running towards me. Okay. Yeah, make sure you have a good spot that you can do this, that you won't ruin anything. I used to, in college, I would do this. I would go into the bathroom and prop up my painting on the across the bathtub and do it that way. It worked pretty well, but can't really do that here. Okay, so I've got my painting down, and now I'm going to take the acrylic matte medium and water mix and do a coat on top of it. So this will be what seals it. And again, you gotta work quickly and make sure that it stays completely flat and sealed, because you don't want any air bubbles or anything like that. So sometimes you can use like a palette knife and go across the surface, but with that I would be cautious because depending on the tooth of the paper, you can actually start to deteriorate the paper and actually take it apart because it starts to break down from the water. Okay. So I'm just being, again, very generous with the water and acrylic matte medium mix. Just gonna do this a little bit more. And chances are you might have to go back in later and fix any air bubbles or things like that. I've got one going on over here. It's being a little difficult. Sometimes air bubbles aren't terribly bad because sometimes you get really cool little effects, but for this one I really don't want any, so go back and make sure that lays flat. Okay. I think I avoided disaster there. Hopefully. We'll find out. Hey guys, so I let this sit overnight. I'm getting ready to do a little bit of a just kind of redefine some of the dark areas, but you can see I don't really have any air bubbles in there or anything like that. Turned out pretty well. I did another coat of just acrylic matte medium just to give it some texture. You really can't see it in here, but I can see there's you get some of the bristle, that kind of texture just from the bristles of the brush. I didn't mix any water in with the acrylic matte medium when I did that coat, so gives it a nice tooth to the painting. So now, like I said, I'm just gonna go in with this brush and kind of just highlight some of the darker areas in his face. And that's really all I'm going to do. So I'll do a time lapse of that, so you don't have to watch me do it in real time, because it'll be really boring if you do. Okay guys, so I'm pretty much done with the process before actually getting into the oil paint. So what I've just done is I did a light coat with the some acrylic ink that I used before on my scale pattern tutorial. So just use this ink, just kind of redefined a lot of the shapes and like some of the details for like the eyes, nose, the beard, define the hair a little bit more because I hadn't really done that yet. And then after that I did another coat of acrylic matte medium because I was worried that the ink would smear when I started doing oil paint with it, because I've never actually used it on top of acrylic matte medium before. And so when I started putting the first couple of coats down, or when I first did a few, like the first two brush strokes, I noticed that it was a little, it didn't dry all the way, so it was a little shiny, and I was worried that it would come off. So I put the acrylic matte medium over top of it, and as you can see over here a little bit, it, let me bring that closer to the camera. You can see some of those strokes are a little bit darker, and that's because it did in fact run when it got wet from the matte medium. So something to pay attention to when you start it. I probably should have sprayed it with fixative first before doing that, but I just went ahead and tried it because it wasn't tacky or anything like that when I touched it with my fingers, so I thought, okay, it's probably fine, but it wasn't. So trial and error, you learn things. I can fix anything that kind of got like blurred in the face when I go to the final painting. Like I said, that's gonna be tomorrow, hopefully. Hey guys, just wanted to say thank you for watching my video, and feel free to follow me on any of my social channels and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to be posting a video every week, hopefully, and if you want to download any of the custom Photoshop brushes I use in my digital work, check out my profile on Gumroad. You can find the link in the description below. Thanks. Bye.